Hello and welcome to today's episode of Thrive After 45. I'm Denise Drinkwalter, heart whisperer, midlife mirror, and mentor. Every week, I am honored to share energy and space with inspiring guests whose stories reflect so many possibilities of thriving beyond 45. Together, we'll uncover the whispers of the heart, the power of midlife transformation, and the wisdom that fuels expansion. Have you ever wondered? Sorry, my apologies. I'm going to say that again. Have you ever wished there was a map for human behavior, a way to actually see where you are in your own growth and what steps could move you higher? Today's guest, Jim Marshall, has spent more than 40 years as a human development engineer, studying the complexities of human consciousness, motivation, and transformation. He's the author of Septemics, a groundbreaking system that identifies the 7 levels of human phenomena, from emotional patterns to personal and spiritual evolution. For over 3 decades, Jim has refined and taught this system, impacting thousands of lives and helping people solve, quite literally, anything, from relationships and decision making to leadership and personal mastery. His work reveals how every challenge and every triumph fits within a larger scale of human understanding. In our conversation today, we're going to explore how his work came to life and how understanding where we are on these scales can help us unlock who we're meant to become. Welcome to our show today, Jim. Nice to have you here.
Hello, Denise. Good to see you.
We need to find out, how did you develop Septemics?
Okay, I'll tell you that, but I got a couple things I want to say first. First of all,
Absolutely.
you said it's something like it applies to everything, and it doesn't really apply to everything. It only applies to things where people are involved.
Ooh, thank you for that
So
clarification.
Septemics will not tell you how to fix your engine in your car if it's broken. You need a mechanic for that. It won't tell you how to fix your toaster if it's not working. But anything that has to do with people, which is most of what goes on with us in industrialized society, it's relevant to. So
Perfect.
now I want to give one sentence by way of context
Yep.
before I tell you how I came to all of this.
Perfect.
I am the discoverer of hitherto unknown natural phenomena, which greatly aid in the understanding of people, from which I created a revolutionary practical philosophic system called Septemics and published it in the book Septemics Hierarchies of Human Phenomena.
Okay.
So the story really begins at age 16 when I was accepted into engineering school.
Hmm.
Now, of course, I thought at the time that I was going to be engineering physical things, as did all the other engineering students: airfoils, motors, chemicals, electrons, whatever. But by the time I had my bachelor's degree, it was clear to me I wanted to engineer the human psyche
Mm,
because it is the area of greatest mystery, of greatest unknown, and more importantly, it is the area in which we as a race are failing miserably.
mm.
95% of the problems in industrialized society are because people don't understand people. Don't understand the spouse, don't understand the child, don't understand the parent, don't understand the boss, et cetera, et cetera. This is a huge problem. It's so huge that I think a lot of people aren't even aware of this problem.
Hmm.
They just think that's how things are. Uh,
Right.
And this book solves that problem across 35 axes. Now, when I say 35 axes, you talked about 7 levels. The
Hmm.
7 levels are within the 35 axes. So
Okay.
there are 35 septemic scales, each of which has 7 levels.
Okay.
So, to make a long story short, I had a long career as a human development engineer,
Yeah.
worked one-on-one with hundreds of clients of every description, helping to attain higher levels of enlightenment, responsibility, ethics, insight, sensitivity, whatever the person wanted or needed is what he would get out of it.
Okay.
While this was going on, my clients were all improving as a result of our interaction. I started to notice incidentally that I could predict the outcome of the session.
Hmm.
I never told that to anybody, but I made notes, copious notes,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
many decades. There is no theory of systemics. It is based entirely on direct empirical observation.
Okay.
Now, coming from a hard science background, this is second nature to me.
Right.
In the engineering world, opinion and belief have no place. They're not relevant. If you said to me, Jim, I want you to put a bridge over this stream
Hmm.
about 25 yards wide, I'd say, okay, I wouldn't accept that data from you. I would throw a laser beam across it. And it would come back to me
Right.
and it would tell me, I'd say, is this the exact point where you want it? Yes, okay. This is 26.3 yards. That is the data I would use.
Right. Right.
And that is how I created Septemics, just that way. So I would simply observe what was going on and write it down. Now, here's what would happen. Did you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, so the client, the clients had no idea whatsoever how I was doing what I was doing, what I was thinking. They didn't know anything about engineering. They didn't know anything about biofeedback, which I use continuously in a very sophisticated way. All they knew is they came to me with an unwanted condition or a problem or
Right.
a situation, and I fixed it for them.
Right.
But it would be more truthful to say, I guided them to figuring it out for themselves.
Fair. Yeah.
Because I used Socratic dialogue aided by biofeedback. Now, if you, for those of you who are not familiar with the Socratic dialogues, there are many of them, and they're written by Plato, who is the student of Socrates. And in each of them, it shows Socrates as conducting a conversation with usually with one person, but sometimes more than one person, and not telling the person anything, but asking the right question to bring the person to enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
So he would say, for example, what is ethics? And the student would say, hum, 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 like Jackie Gleason in The Honeymooners. You didn't have an answer. And so eventually the student would come to something, and then Socrates would say, but what about this?
Right.
The student would say, oh, I didn't think about that. See? And that's
Right.
how it proceeded. Now, I brought into this 20th century electronics,
Okay.
which now is 21st century
Right.
electronics. But using it all along, and what it did is it sped it up. It sped up the process to a point where I could view the development of the person's psyche in a short period of time. And let me tell you what I mean by that.
Okay.
A typical situation would be, let's say you have a guy and he can't get women to like him. So he goes into therapy, right? And he sees this psychologist once a week for a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And after the 50 sessions, he's doing better,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would get that result out of the guy in a half hour
Mm.
because of the way I use biofeedback. So I would see what the psychologist would see in a year, I'd see in 30 minutes. So it sped up the whole process for me of seeing what was happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So, so what I would find is I would find the person was at a specific level on a specific scale that I had previously observed and recorded. And as
Right.
a result of our interaction, he would go up to the next level on that scale. Now, that happened many thousands of times over a 40-year period. I don't know how many thousand, 8,000, 9,000, something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happened 5 or 6 times in the same session. So I just kept writing this down. Now you have to realize, after I would observe it in this session, I would go out to, let's say, Walmart, and I would look at
Mm-hmm.
and I would see exactly the same phenomena in people I wasn't even talking to,
Fascinating. Yeah.
even know me.
Yeah.
So this whole process yielded very reliable scientific information because the clients had no idea what I was doing. There was
Sure.
no placebo effect.
Right. Right.
And there was no power of suggestion because I wouldn't tell them anything.
Right. Right.
I would ask them. So, for example, uh, I would see from the biofeedback that this guy was upset with his mother. And I would say to him, "Are you upset with your mother?" He'd say, "How did you know that?"
Mm.
And root we're off. See?
Right.
And I could
Right.
go right down into it, right down into the subconscious. 20 minutes later, he has a big epiphany. That's why I can't get along with my mother.
Right.
His relationship with her just got better.
Right.
That, in essence, is what happens with Septemex because I took all this information and recorded it and released it to the world. So you
Right.
basically have all of this data to do essentially the same process by yourself.
So now I do have a question that's coming through, and I'm like, this has to be asked right now. Somebody gets the book,
Mhm,
finds out where they are on a specific scale
mhm,
within the levels,
mhm.
and reads it. How does one read it without interpreting that isn't there? Is that possible to do?
Well, everybody is interpreting all the time when one is reading. Uh,
Fair.
there's always the issue in education of the person duplicating the message.
Yes.
In other words, the teacher knows the subject. He tells you something.
Right.
You might misduplicate it, but if you're smart and studious, you won't. You might say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" See, and that gives. But I was very, very careful in the book
Okay.
to focus on making this clear to the
Good.
average reader of English. Now, I should tell you, I have been tutoring people since I was 14. I entered school at the age of 3 and have been involved in education my entire life to this very day.
Hmm.
So I have a very good idea about the process of learning.
Right.
And one of the reasons for my success is it's never about me.
Hmm.
Always about the other person.
Perfect.
Whether
Yeah.
it's about the student or it's about the client or it's about the girlfriend or whatever it is. It's not about me.
Right.
Never about. So
Mhm.
I'm always focused on the person. And so I can always pick up, did this guy get it or did he not get it? So
Right.
sometimes I teach something to my student and he has a little pause. Oh, now I see what you mean. Okay, he's got it.
Yeah.
It's not just that he said he sees it. It's that I can see in his eyes, in his face, in his physiognomy that he got it. See?
Yeah.
And if I don't see that, then I persist.
Right. Right.
So that is how I wrote this book. Now, I should tell you, this book was rewritten at least a half a dozen times because after the initial writing,
Mm-hmm.
I would release it, I would get feedback, and I'd say, oh, I can see ways that I could make this clearer. And I would write it, and then I would release it. And so I know I succeeded at making this accessible because some version of this book has existed now for 30 years, and I've been watching people get it. They get
Right.
it. You
Nice.
don't have to have a college degree to understand this.
Right.
I made it very clear. But the
Mm-hmm.
big thing is the content of this book is natural law. It's not an opinion. It's not a belief. It's natural law. It's like when you look at the Pythagorean theorem,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really have to be too bright to understand the Pythagorean theorem. You just have to have a teacher who shows it to you the right way, and
Right.
oh yeah, and then you've got it for life. So
Right.
that's what this is like.
Love that.
Okay.
Love
So
that.
several people have said to me, what book is your book like? And I have to tell them in all candor, having gone to school for 28 years, I don't think there's ever been a book like this before, at least
Mm-hmm.
on. But each one of these 35 scales is expressed in what you could call a spreadsheet or a table.
Okay. Yeah.
That table is very similar to the periodic table of elements, but it is a periodic table for each of the corresponding 35 subjects that are covered in the book.
Right.
So, for example, first chapter is the scale of basic purposes. Every human has one of seven basic purposes. Just the fact that I can isolate that
Mm-hmm.
and express it in a way that people would get. And when you find your basic purpose, you're never the same again. It is a life-changing moment because you know what you're about. So what happens is, willy-nilly, you throw out the other six levels. They're not for me. That's for those people. This is what I'm about.
Right.
And then that clarifies your life to a great degree. And you'll have hundreds of realizations coming out of that. When you
Love it.
realize what your basic purpose is, oh, now I understand why I couldn't get along with Gertrude when we was in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
See? And so all of
Yep.
this stuff retroactively solves itself because you now understand it.
Right.
There are 35 axes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, I should tell you, there are general scales and specific scales. Now, a general scale is one you use once and you're done, like the scale of basic purposes. You have a basic purpose. You, Denise, have,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on that list of seven. Now, once you find it,
Mm-hmm.
you're done as regards Denise. You then can use it on your husband, your son, your grandmother, your next door,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
right? But for you, it's done. It is
Right.
not about context. But most of the scales are specific scales, meaning they have a context.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
for example, the scale of motivation. Okay, there's what's your husband's motivation toward you? That's one context. What's your daughter's motivation toward you? That's another context.
Mm-hmm.
Your pastor's motivation toward you? That's a third context. So
Mm-hmm.
every time you go to a different person, it's a different context. So you can use this hundreds and hundreds of times in different contexts.
Right. Right.
This gets very big
Right.
quick.
I bet. Yeah.
So let me give you an example. If you were to take the scale of motivation,
Mm-hmm.
because you're only choosing from a menu of seven, it's not a hard choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know the person, right? You've been hanging around with your husband for, let's say, 10 years, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know him pretty well,
Right.
right? When you study that chapter, if you understand the chapter, you're going to spot him. You're going to say,
Right.
I see what level he's at. He's at level two. And then you'll have a, that explains why when I said, A, and that explains why when I do A, he does B.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, but you can do that for everybody you know and
Right.
everybody you have ever known.
Sure. Sure.
Mrs. Smith in the third grade didn't like me. What was that all about? See? And you can go back because you spent a year being disliked by Mrs. Smith, and you can find where she is on every one of these scales.
Right.
Anytime you do, you'll have a realization. Now I understand why Mrs. Smith didn't like me. And so that little bit of baggage is gone
Gone. Yeah.
because it's not a mystery. It doesn't stick to you anymore. It's you let go of it.
Right.
See,
And
it's
when
known.
you do that, Jim, and you release it because you get a deeper understanding of what was really going on in that moment in time over that year with the grade three situation, um, does that do anything beyond that? Does it carry into any other, or is it motivation that's that scale? You just stay with that.
Well, that varies.
Okay.
To realize each of these scales is unique. You
Hmm.
cannot infer anything about scale A by studying scale B.
Fair.
These are completely different.
Okay.
Because of that, they span the spectrum of human experience
Gotcha.
because you're covering 35 completely different subjects of life.
Okay.
So
Yep.
also, also very often what will happen with a person is he spots a certain level, either himself or maybe his mother or his boyfriend or whatever it is.
Sure.
And he has a realization.
Hmm.
He might continue to have realizations on that, you know?
Hmm.
The
Yep.
next day he talks to this person, but now he knows what level this person is at. Ah, now I see what's going on here. See?
Sure. Yeah.
Not that you just have one realization, you could have a whole sequence of realizations from
Right.
this one finding out.
Right. Right.
Okay, so let me get back to your initial question. We got off on a long tangent there. How I discovered this. So I had this long career as human development engineer, and I started seeing that there was something in this that was predictable.
Hmm.
I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't particularly looking for it, but it was there because I could
Mm.
see the outcome of the session.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Routinely. Needless to say, that only made me better at what I did because I knew how the session was going to come out. I didn't say it, I didn't suggest it, I didn't imply it. I let the person discover it, and he did exactly what I thought he was going to do with it
Right. Right.
because I knew what the next level up is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so by 1995, I had accrued, just by direct observation, about 32 scales that varied in length between 3 and 7.
Hmm.
Now, I was around that same time pondering a client that was difficult.
Hmm.
And I had this 6 level scale that I had been using for decades that I knew was correct. And I was trying to assess this client on this scale.
Right.
And I was having trouble. I couldn't do it.
Uh,
What's going on here? Until I realized, this scale has a 7th level. I had never seen this level before.
Interesting.
This was the first, and there are specific reasons for that that I explain in the book, that particular level, why I hadn't seen it before. But as
Okay.
soon as I saw it, I understood the client just like that. And I knew where it fitted into the 6th level scale. It was not a question. And as soon as I inserted the 7th level into the 6th level scale, at that exact moment, it went from being a line, which is what a scale is, to a plane, meaning a whole body of data.
Mm,
Data jumped out at me. Now, for those of us who studied a lot of math, that is a distinctly mathematical phenomenon. The whole point of math is you start with a formula or an equation and you coax data out of it. And
right.
at the end, you get to something useful. Oh, that's what the area is of this underneath.
Right.
Oh, I see. And you got it, right? Or that's how Einstein found E equals mc squared, just like that. He
Hmm.
just followed the math, and all of a sudden he got E equals mc squared. Whoa, that's a
Right.
conversion factor for math, for matter to energy by a factor of c squared. That's earth shaking, see?
Right. Right.
And so when I saw all this data jump out at me, suddenly without my searching for them, there are all of these intersecting, interacting uh, data
Hmm.
that contributed to this. In other words, it wasn't just a scale anymore. It
Right.
was a body of data in which all of these mathematical factors reinforced one another.
Wow.
If you remember from geometry, one of the things in geometry, really the highest level of geometry, is to prove something, prove a theorem.
Right.
So that's about getting all of these intersecting, interlocking factors. Well, we know two sides of an isosceles triangle are equal. See?
Right.
We know that this side is 27. That means this other side must be 27. See, this is interlocking. And
Hmm.
at the end, you're able to prove the thing,
Right.
which
Right.
is that's the holy grail of geometry to be able to do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So when I saw this, I said, whatever the hell this is, it has to be natural law because it's got math embedded in it.
Mm.
Now, I took 26 semesters of math and loved every minute of it. And so when math appears, I recognize it. My
Right.
mind thinks in math.
Right.
So when I'm doing normal things, listening to music,
Hmm.
watching a rabbit run across my patio, math is going through my mind.
Hmm.
See, I know these formulae.
Right.
They're there. You don't have to convince me of the validity of the formula for the volume of a sphere. I know
Right.
this.
It's yeah.
It's
Hmm.
axiomatic.
Hmm.
And it was that way before humans existed, and it will stay
Right.
that way after humans no longer exist,
Yeah.
because that is what it is.
Yeah.
And that is what these scales are like. They're mathematical. Now,
Hmm.
I went through a lot of trouble to make this presentation not seem mathematical to the
Hmm.
reader.
Hmm.
There were a few spots where it was necessary for me to
Okay.
explain something about math,
Yeah.
which I was able to do easily because I have a lot of experience in that. I started tutoring algebra when I was 18.
Right. Okay.
So, so my next thought was, I wonder how many of these other scales that I have are actually seven-level scales that had not been developed all the way.
Mm.
See,
Right.
because when I
Right.
have to
Yeah.
go to seven and go woof like that, wait a minute, maybe some of these others are like this too.
Hmm.
So knowing what I was looking for, which is the key,
Hmm.
I studied all these other scales. And in a short period of time, each of them went to seven levels. And when it did, it manifested mathematically.
Wow.
So now I had 32 seven-level scales, each defining a certain area of human phenomena,
Hmm.
all of which had math embedded in them.
Right.
And again, being a well-educated person, I said to myself, I never saw anything like this. This looks like a new subject for me.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
But beyond that, this could help people. I
Yeah.
could go from helping people by the hundreds, which is what I have been doing as a human development engineer, to helping
Right.
them by the millions if I put this in a book and get it out so people can
Right.
have it and use it.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
have to write a book. So the first draft was finished in December of 95. And
Okay.
I immediately sent it to colleagues of mine, all of whom had graduate degrees in a variety of subjects.
Yeah.
And they all responded very positively.
Hmm.
There was no subtlety about this.
Right.
They had differing responses, but distinctly positive responses. And that told me, because I knew how smart these people were, because I had known them for years,
Right. Yeah.
that told me this is exactly what I think it is, which is a new subject that people would get.
Hmm.
The reason they
Hmm.
get it is it's natural law.
Right.
Now, you have, remember the first time you saw the periodic table of elements? You were maybe 12 or 13 or 14 or something, right?
Hmm.
And you looked at it, it's a little bit overwhelming. It's on the wall, it's kind of big, right? It's got a lot of data embedded in it, right? But
Yep.
it doesn't take too much time to see this thing makes a lot of sense. Hydrogen is one, helium is two, lithium is three, brr, it goes down, of course, right?
Right.
Then
Right.
when you start to find out about it, you see, oh, these things in this period, they all behave the same way.
Right.
So that is what you get when you look at these tables that I have put in the book. You see the periodic table for motivation. You see the periodic table for spiritual identity, et cetera,
Mm.
et cetera. In other words,
Hmm.
it's all in there.
Yeah.
So, so I then spent, when I got this response from my colleagues, I
Hmm.
then spent the next 25 years of my life working on this book. Because you have to realize I had to first discover the phenomena, and I pretty much explained already how I did that. Although I
Right.
explained three more scales while I was doing the writing.
Yeah.
Then I had to take this data and I had to use it to craft a workable philosophic system. Simply having the scales is not enough.
Right.
This
Yep.
has to work. Now, I should explain for those of you who don't know, uh, the successful product of a scientist is a theory, like the theory of evolution or the theory of
Yep.
uh, whatever it is.
Right.
But for an engineer, the product is a thing that works,
Right.
has to work.
Right.
That is who we are.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is why we are very different from scientists.
Right. Right.
I had a very good friend of mine who I went through prep school with. He was a whiz in math and everything related to science, and he went on to become a physicist.
Yep.
To me, he was a weirdo. He was a very strange person.
Hmm.
And I liked him. We did things together, but
Hmm.
we're not alike.
Hmm.
You know, I was on the football team, the baseball team. I went out with girls. I played in a rock
Yeah.
band. We didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So engineers are a distinct type of person.
Hmm.
I went to a top engineering school, and there were 2,000 students, and we were all very much alike. When you
Hmm.
get past the superficial things, this guy has a mustache and this guy doesn't,
Right.
we're
Right.
all very much.
Right.
So what it is about we want to know the facts. So what an engineer does is he takes known data, established data, not guessed at, not
Right.
opined. It's like, for example, the acceleration of gravity near the surface of the Earth is 9.8 meters per second per second. That is an established fact. You don't have to take my word for it. You can calculate it yourself if you want. I'll give you the formula.
Right.
Okay. Now, that's what we call 1G. That is grist for our mill. We walk on that as like the floor, you see?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we make calculations. How much voltage do we really need going into this capacitor?
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
is this going to be too much and burn it out? Is it not enough to do the job? See, and we have to test it. We
Right.
establish it. That's another fact.
Right.
That's how, that is what I did with this for all
Yep.
these years. So, so you have these 35 scales. Now, what I should do now is tell you the names of the 35 scales
I was
because
just going to ask. Yeah.
exactly what subject matter is
Hmm.
addressed. And
Perfect.
I think they will agree after I've read them all that I've covered it all.
Hmm.
Because many readers have come to me and said, "You covered everything." You know? And I'll tell you what they are. Now, of the 35 scales, 24 of them are individual scales, and 11 of them are group scales. These are the individual scales.
Okay.
The scale of basic purposes, the scale of personal influence, the scale of choice, the scale of permeation, the scale of thought, the scale of identity, the scale of evaluation, the scale of motivation, the scale of control, the scale of stopping, the scale of
Mm.
scholarship, the scale of literacy, the scale of human ability, the scale of memory, the scale of spiritual identity, the scale of mental deletion, the scale of aberration, the scale of physical fitness, the scale of justification, the scale of belief, the scale of equanimity, the scale of attack, the scale of conflict, and the scale of reaction. And these are the group scales. The scale of relationships, the scale of life spheres, the scale of government, the scale of civilization, the scale of survival, the scale of management, the scale of exchange, the scale of communication, the scale of allegiance, the scale of sexuality, and the scale of politics. Any one of these scales by itself could dramatically improve the life of the reader. But
Hmm.
of course, you have 35 of them to use when it's appropriate. So
Right.
now we talked before about motivation. So
Right.
let me give you an example how the average person could use this,
I
right?
was gonna, yeah, perfect.
Say you, Denise, have been dating some guy for 3 years, right? And you're thinking about getting married. Well, that's a big step. Wouldn't it make sense to ask, why does this guy want to marry me? Isn't that a reasonable question?
Hmm.
I'm not saying to ask the guy, you don't know what you're going to get. You might get
Well,
gobbled.
of course.
I'm saying, open the book.
Yeah,
There are only 7 levels because I've gotten it down to the
sure.
7 levels of human motivation. Now,
Right.
you can say, wait a minute, there are thousands of motivations. Those are subsets of these.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you understand the essence of that level, you realize there's lots of stuff that fits in there.
Of course. Yeah.
So you know the guy, you study the chapter,
Hmm.
and you say, oh, I can see he wants to marry me because he loves me. That's level one, the highest motivation of all. Let's set the date.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe what happens is you say, now that I think about this, I think this guy wants to marry me because I drive a Maserati,
That's good.
I have a 60-foot yacht, I fly my own Learjet, I live in a $15 million condo, I have $5 million in the bank. See, that's a different motivation. I'm not
Totally.
saying it's good or it's bad. It's level 4 on the scale of motivation, money.
Right. Yeah.
So now what you do with that, that's up to you. That has nothing to do with me. You might say, well, okay, this is not the first guy who wanted to marry me for my money, but this guy is handsome. He's
Hmm.
he's intelligent. He's educated. He has a good job. He's articulate. So I'm going to marry him
Yeah.
anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you might live happily ever after.
Thank you for saying that because what I think is real one of the nuggets of many is that you take the information that you've so brilliantly over so many years made sure it's where it needs to be based on everything you put into it. At the end of the day, you make the decision based on what it is you are uncovering in whatever area you are looking at in the moment. And so I love what you're saying because what you said near the very beginning, I don't give the opinion. I don't guide people. I give them the question based on what I know. And so they come up with what's going to happen,
Right.
which is brilliant because a lot of people put information together and give it, here's the way you need to do this. You don't do that. You're giving them the laws that are natural and absolutely part of human. And
Right.
now you can understand it at a level you would not have ever been able to access prior to this brilliant work you've got. Thank you.
It's just like Newton's 3 laws of motion.
Hmm.
Okay. You know that rocket scientists and astrophysicists are still using them to this day to predict the motion of celestial bodies and rockets and satellites. You know why? They work. It's
Yeah.
natural law.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
not his opinion.
Yeah.
He just figured it out. There's this famous story about he saw the apple fall from the tree and he said, wait a minute, that's the same force that keeps the moon going around the earth.
Yeah.
That was his eureka moment. And that led him to the three laws of motion. And then he created calculus so that we could calculate it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's very much like what I did.
Yeah.
So, another good way is the Fibonacci sequence. There are these numbers that exist in nature. There are living creatures that construct themselves according to these numbers. Now,
Mm,
these creatures don't know anything about numbers. They don't even have brains,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, but if you take a sunflower and you count the seeds one way, you'll get one Fibonacci number. You count them another way, you'll get another Fibonacci number. Well, how does that work? Same thing with a pine cone. You count it one way,
Hmm.
get one Fibonacci number, you count another way, you get a different Fibonacci number. So Fibonacci looked at this and said, there's something to this. I don't
Right.
know what it is, but I'm going to find out. And what he did is he reverse engineered the formula out of the numbers themselves. He said, well, we got this number and this
Right.
number. What formula would give us these numbers? And
Hmm.
he figured it out and he gave it to us, and we call it the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah.
That's very much like what I did here.
And it never fails.
Right.
It,
I can tell you axiomatically that these scales are correct.
yeah.
Now, having said that, you might quibble with the words that I used because writing is an art.
Sure.
And in
Fair.
many cases, I spent many years trying to find out what is the right word for this.
Mm,
For example, if you look at the scale of equanimity and you don't know the name of it, you might think it's a scale of maturity because it tracks maturity in people, what we call
okay.
maturity. I thought it was a scale of maturity. But after many years of working with it, I realized, there's something behind that. And the thing behind that is equanimity.
Very good. Yeah.
What determines maturity, which is why you can have an 8-year-old who's much more mature than a 25-year-old because he has equanimity that the
Sure.
20 lacks.
Right. Right.
Not really
Love
mature.
that.
It just looks like that. And that type of thing went through my mind for 25 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So the most time consuming part of my labor was
Hmm.
figuring out how to say this in a way that would communicate to the average reader of English.
Hmm.
And I know I succeeded at that because I've been watching people respond to this now for 30 years.
Right. Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a college degree to understand this.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't have to have 125 IQ to understand this. Some guy will like be in a bookstore and he sees, what's this septemic stuff? Takes the book down.
Hmm.
And you know what he's going to say? He's going to look at it randomly and say, oh, this makes sense.
Hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what makes sense? It's
It's
natural law.
natural law. And there's the full circle moment, Jim.
Right,
Right? Yeah.
right.
Totally.
Now,
Yeah.
when he actually studies it in depth, because there's a lot of stuff in the book,
Oh, for
studies
sure.
it and starts to use it and see how
Yeah.
it affects his mind and affects his relationships, at
Yeah.
some point he's going to say, wow,
Yeah.
this is big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's right, it is big.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't try to convince anybody it's big. I just let people read the book,
Yeah.
tell me how big it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But um, once you have something like this, it changes the whole way you think. Now, I should tell you now 3 ways in which this is valuable to anybody who takes advantage of it. Number one, each of these 35 skills provides the reader with an infallible way of determining the salutariness or the beneficialness of any group, individual, or activity. If the group, individual, activity moves persons up the scale, it's
Hmm.
beneficial or positive. If it moves them down, it's detrimental or negative. So
Hmm.
I am giving you a yardstick by which to measure human phenomena, which is
Love it.
an entirely new thing.
Hmm.
More importantly, Second thing,
Hmm.
when you spot the level, correctly spot the level, whether it's on you or another person, you
Right.
have a realization
Right.
100% of the time. That's one of the ways that you know you spotted it correctly.
Right.
So you have a guy, his mother-in-law is driving him nuts. He gets this book. He says, she's always trying to control us.
Hmm.
What we should buy, what we should
Right.
cook. I'm going to look at the scale of control and see, right? So he knows this woman because she's been a burden to him for 5 years. And when he studies the chapter, he says, whoa, she's at level 6 on the scale of control. That explains her perfectly.
Right.
He may not be able to do anything about that in her, but he
Right.
understands her now.
Right. Yeah. A new level of understanding. Yeah.
It's just like cats and dogs. Many people have cats, many people have dogs, many people have both. They're not the same.
Yeah.
If you treat a cat the same way that you treat it, that cat will not like you.
Hmm.
You have to understand cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, of course, every cat is unique. And people who have cats will know that
Yeah.
this cat is a little more this way, but
Yeah.
still they have this thing in common. They're very different from dogs.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you can't expect a dog to behave like a cat. So when you're dealing with someone, is this person a cat or a dog?
Hmm.
What are you dealing with?
Right.
That is the question that gets answered by this book. So let me give you an analogy to tell you how clearly this makes sense. Let's say you invite me to see your garden in Ottawa. I don't even know if you have a garden in Ottawa, but I'm into gardening. So you might say, Jim, come and look at my garden.
Hmm.
So I go to Denise's house, right? And I walk in the garden and I'm going to say, oh, Denise has hydrangeas, irises, tulips, begonias, forget-me-nots, roses. Now, the reason I can analyze it this way is I know a lot about flowers
Right.
because I've been involved with them since I was a small boy.
Hmm.
Now, if you want, I could advise you. I could say these need a lot of sun, and but these don't. These need a lot of water, but these don't, et cetera,
Right.
because I know the subject. Now, if you bring some 5-year-old girl into your garden,
Hmm.
she's going to see and smell exactly what I saw and smelled.
Hmm.
All she can say is, these are pretty and they smell nice.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah.
That's all she knows.
Yeah.
She doesn't know the word hydrangea or chrysanthemum.
Right.
Most adults are like that little girl regarding people. They
Yeah.
don't know what they're looking at.
Very good. I love that. Thank you.
And so, for example, a guy Friday night, right? He goes out to a bar to meet a girl, right? So he goes to this bar and there he meets this young lady and he observes that she's nicely dressed, she's pretty.
Hmm.
He talks to her, right? He
Right.
notices she smells nice and he thinks to himself, this girl is pretty and she smells nice. I'm going to get
Right.
her, right?
Right.
That's the same thing the little girl just said in your garden.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He has no idea what he's getting himself into.
Yeah.
He doesn't know if she's a gold digger. He doesn't
Hmm.
know if she's
Yeah.
a drug dealer. He
Right.
doesn't know if she's got bipolar disorder.
Doesn't, yep. Knows nothing. Yep. For
No,
sure. Yeah.
so let me tell you, when I was a young man, this data didn't exist because I hadn't even figured it out yet. So I
Right.
made the same stupid mistakes that everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in retrospect, I look back and say, yeah, I never should have been involved. But I didn't
Yeah.
know anything.
Of course.
Now I
How?
know. So psychologically, I let it all go. I don't even think about it
Yeah.
anymore,
Yeah.
because it's not a mystery.
Right. Right.
I
And
know, I know I didn't get along with Gertrude.
right.
See?
And the good part about having this, I'm not even going to call it a book because it's way more than a book. Having this information in your life through Septemics allows you to be knowledgeable, not like the little girl, but like the person who's been studying and loves flowers and does the gardening. You will get that when
Yes.
you access the information in the book. That is available for you now. So thank you for that. Thank you for this conversation. I know our listeners, especially I notice in our time of life, in our midlife years, new things are cropping up with our physicality, life changes, children leaving the home. What are we all about now as a result? All that stuff. What a great time to access this incredible. I don't even know what I want to call it. A book doesn't give it enough emphasis as to what it
System.
really is. You know what
System.
I'm saying?
Yep.
System. Yeah. It's so make sure those listeners make sure you check the show notes because we have access to how to find it, how to gather the information,
Right.
and it's all at your fingertips, all available for you, and you will open up new ways and new realizations that will change your life forever.
Right. I want to
Thank you.
finish the thought that I was on before
Of
because there
course.
were three things. I got to the second one.
Oh, fair. Thank you.
You have a realization every time you
Yes.
find something. You get smarter. Once you know the correct level, either for yourself or another, you can improve that person by moving
Mm,
up one level on the scale. This is probably more significant than most people will realize.
hmm
I have solved the gradient problem that has bedeviled mankind for 6,000 years. And let me tell you what I mean by that. We all have problems and dilemmas and situations and that we can't resolve, right?
Right.
More than 99% of the time is because we don't know the gradient. All experts in human development,
hmm
coaches, therapists, facilitators, uh, understand, teachers, they understand human development must be done on a gradient.
hmm
Okay? You cannot make a couch potato into an Olympic athlete. It cannot be done. There are 8 or 10 intervening levels that he has
Absolutely.
to go through.
Right.
So I'm giving you the gradients.
Yeah.
I'm handing you the gradients on a silver platter across 35 axes. So each one of these scales is a formula for success.
Love it.
Find out where you are, you
hmm
target yourself for the next level up. And I can assure you,
Yeah.
if you make a serious effort, we don't know how long it's going to take, what you're going to have to do, but if you make a serious effort, you will get to the next level up. You know why? It's the next level
Natural.
up.
It's how it works.
If you're on the fourth floor, it's not hard to get to the fifth floor. You go up one flight of stairs, you're there.
Yeah.
Or you take the elevator,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, so what you do is when you find your level, you target yourself for the next level up. You forget the rest of it. The other 5 levels are not relevant.
Right.
Dispose of them for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you get to that next level, you will be an improved person, an enhanced person.
hmm
You will be closer to where you want to be.
Love that.
And then once you are stabilized at that level, you can then target yourself for the next level up.
Next. hmm
The reason why crash diets and crash exercise programs fail is they do not respect gradients. So a guy says, yeah, I gotta get in shape. I'm overweight, and he goes, he joins the gym and he's all sore. And after 2 weeks, he gives up. Too steep a gradient.
Of course.
So I've worked as a personal trainer. When a guy comes to me, I have a long conversation with him. I watch him, I
Mm-hmm.
see how he moves, and I make a guess. I say, all right, let's see if you can curl 15 pounds. And I give him 15 pounds and I see him
Mm-hmm.
curl it, right? Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he's doing it. I say, well, how does that seem to you? He says, oh, this is easy. I can do this all day. Okay, fine. Stop.
Right.
20 pounds.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? How's that going? Oh, I can feel this. I can do
Mm-hmm.
maybe 13 of these. Okay, stop.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do 13 reps,
Exactly.
3 sets on each arm every day. And at the end of the week, we'll talk again.
Right. Yeah.
And I would
Love it.
say to him at the end of the week, how did you do with the
Mm-hmm.
curls? Right? Now, if he
Mm-hmm.
says to me, this is pretty tough. I'm sore. And everything, I say, all right, just keep doing it.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
says,
Yeah.
piece of cake, I can do this all day now. I say, fine, let's go to 25 pounds. See, finding the gradient.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
That is what I did with my clients for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Guy comes in, he's at some level.
Right.
He doesn't know what level he's at, but I find the gradient and I move him up to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he'll get there because it's the next level.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Perfect.
this is a revolutionary breakthrough in how you approach anything having to do with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, this is very user friendly because I went through a lot of trouble
Right.
to make this clear. For
Yeah.
example, there is a glossary in front of not only every chapter, even in front of the introduction, there's a
Mm.
glossary. So I'm telling you, this is the specific definition of this word that I'm using in this context. Okay,
Perfect.
there's
Yeah.
no vagueness about this.
Right.
As an engineer, I have a precise mark, and I'm making this precise.
Sure.
The scale of communication, honest to God, I'm not exaggerating. Just that one scale will completely change your whole life because you become a master of communication.
Right.
Ronald Reagan was astonishingly successful. He was called the Great Communicator. That was his nickname. He was reelected in a landslide in 1984, 49 states
Mm.
on the basis of his communication.
Right.
So somebody can say, well, all right, if you look up the word communication in the dictionary, it's got like 35 different definitions. Which one are you using? Good
Mm.
question. I give you the specific one-line definition. This is what I mean.
Okay.
Hey,
Perfect.
he means that.
Hmm.
Good. And the whole book is like that.
Then everything makes sense because everybody who's using this information is coming at it from that definition, not something they're thinking is different or so follow what is in black and white in the book and you will succeed in human interactions, human development knowledge for yourself and for those around you. Whether it's like you said, it'd be even interesting to watch people, i.e., Walmart, Target, wherever, and
Mhm.
just see, play with it and see what you learn through the opportunity to grow. Thank you so much, Jim, for this conversation. I know you've enriched my thinking, and now I need to go and find the book. I will get the book. And if I have questions, I might be tapping you on the keyboard. Hello, Jim.
Okay.
Help me clarify this one.
Now, I want to say one other thing, because I mentioned earlier that when I was a young man, I made the same stupid mistakes that everybody else makes. You know, now I cannot convey to you how smooth my life is.
Mm,
My life is just like glass because I have no trouble with people.
hmm.
I'll bump into somebody, I see he's at or near the bottom of a certain scale. We're done.
Right?
No, I'm not rude. I just say, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Exactly.
And the
Yeah.
exact opposite happens where I'll meet somebody. Oh, this is an upskilled person. This person is high in this scale, high in this scale. This is somebody I want in my life. this person is going to be an asset to me.
Right.
I use this all the time. So I'm sort of in this permanent state of surrounding myself with upscale people who I see are high on these scales,
Mm-hmm.
and, and getting rid of the downscale people.
Doesn't benefit you, right? To keep those people in your sphere. And
Right,
so, and we don't know when our last breath is. So why spend our time and energy with something that doesn't bring us equilibrium or more, right?
right,
Yeah, I
right.
love it.
So let me tell you, I'm a single guy. About a year ago, I met this gorgeous blonde, statuesque,
Mm-hmm.
glamorous, beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Congenial. And we were very interested in one another.
Right.
Well, now we're going through the usual getting to know you stuff.
Sure.
Movies do you like? What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of restaurants
Mm-hmm.
you like, right? And we had at least a half a dozen conversations along those lines,
Right.
early in the relationship. So we're having this conversation. I notice, she's low on this scale. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Had another conversation. I was, she's low on this other scale. We had another conversation. And it was, she's low in. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The light bulb is going on over my head. If I barely know her, and I already found she's at or near the bottom of three, she's probably at or near the bottom of 8 or 10 or 12 of these scales, which
Right.
means she is going to be a problem for me.
Right. Not a match.
Oh, look, we had no arguments, we had no disagreements,
Mm-hmm.
we had no bad words. It
Right.
was going along the way you wanted to go, right?
Right.
I
Right.
know this material, and I said to her,
Of course.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
no thanks.
Yeah.
She was shocked.
Yeah.
You know why? She was so beautiful and glamorous
Mm-hmm.
that I was probably the first guy who ever did that to her.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
not talking about getting into a fight or something. I'm talking about just casual.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And she actually said to me, and I quote, "Who do you think you are?"
Mm.
I did not say the perfect answer, which is, "I'm the guy who knows systemics."
Yeah.
She would have no idea what I was talking about.
No, of course. Of course. Yeah.
But you see, I saved myself a lot of aggravation, a lot of
Right.
aggravation, a lot of wasted time, a lot of
Right.
money, a lot of pondering,
Yeah.
out there, she loves me not, all that stuff.
Right. Of
I
course.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
bypass all of that.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time with people, pro and con.
Right. Of course.
So, so it's very easy for me. Like, for example, my house was wrecked in a storm
Mm-hmm.
and I found a lawyer. Okay. I could see that this lawyer was an upscale lawyer. Some lawyers are dopey and incompetent. I don't know if you know that. But this guy, I could see, oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
right. I signed up with him. We filed a lawsuit. I got all my money.
Everything worked.
Both
Yeah.
happy. We both got our money. And
Right.
that's like typical of how things go for me now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because people tell you their levels,
Right.
not
Right.
secret.
Mm-hmm.
Just shut up and listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay attention. The person will tell you. Like I actually know somebody who gratuitously told me several different times, all men are beasts. Okay? That's level 5 on the scale of thought. That's thinking in identities. He's
Mm-hmm.
identifying all men with all other men. Okay? That's
Right.
easy.
Right.
That tells me this person can't think. That's a low level of thought.
Right. Right. Yeah. For
So
sure.
that tells me, am I going to try to have a conversation with this person about Schopenhauer or Spengler?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
because this person can't think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you hear this stuff all the time. All
Mm-hmm.
Jews are bad. That's daffy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's thinking in equality, identity, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is no way to think.
No. No.
Somebody who's more upscale will differentiate. will say,
Hmm.
yeah, well, maybe some Jews are bad, but I know some real good ones. See, differentiating.
Yeah, for sure.
See,
Yeah. Yeah.
higher level of thought.
Hmm.
So I just listen to people and they tell me these things
Exactly.
right away.
Yeah.
Somebody I'm going to mess with. Now realize it depends on the context.
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
example, I have this guy who works on my vehicles who's like what I would call a mechanical genius.
Hmm.
He works on racing cars,
Hmm.
$1 million cars. Okay.
Right. Right.
He is a true expert. He's the only person who touches my car.
Hmm.
Anything wrong with my car goes right over there. He
Right.
gives me the bill. And on top of that, I know he's honest because several times I went in and I said, my car is going,
Yeah. Yeah.
that they'll go away.
Yeah.
So I have no problem.
Right.
Take it right over there. He
Yeah.
fixes it. I pay the
Yeah.
bill, whatever it
Yeah.
is. So that's like a whole area of stress that doesn't exist for me.
Exactly. Yeah. Your
How
life
many
is more
people
enriched
people
because of it.
get inveigled with crooked mechanics? There
Hmm.
are mechanics who will break your car and then tell you that was wrong with your car and it's going to cost you $3,000 to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there are
Hmm.
such people. So,
Hmm.
that's just like one tiny iota of
For
my life.
sure. Yeah.
And like my whole life is like that now, where
Hmm.
I know, okay, do I want to have a conversation with this person about this thing or not? Like if
Sure.
someone
Yeah.
works on my garden,
Yep.
I want to know this guy knows what he's doing. He's going to do the job. I don't care how literate he is. That's a different
Right.
skill. It's got
Yeah,
nothing.
for sure.
So it's
Yeah.
very useful, practical. Use it. That's
Yeah.
why I give this. People use it.
Perfect. Jim, thank you so much for this time, space, brilliance conversation. Like I say, I'm getting the book and we'll see what scale jumps out at me first. And what I see is my starting point because there is no finish line, in my opinion. It's always about learning and growing. So thank you for this opportunity. We really appreciate what you've put together. And I appreciate the amount of time that it's taken because of your desire to ensure it is exactly the way it needs to be for us to be able to receive it and use it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Make sure that you check the show notes. We have all the information in there that you can find Septemics, find where Jim is. And if you liked this episode, you liked the show, please follow, share, and give us those reviews. Thank you again, Jim, for your time, energy, and brilliance. Have a wonderful rest of your day.